Professor Mittal, my very good old friend, distinguished faculty members from other institutions, and dear students. I don't know, I was told to talk for 20 minutes, but I have no problem if you want. If there is sufficient time for me to talk longish. I was told initially by Upasana that I have to speak on contemporary issues in human resource management. Then I thought that it will be pointless just to enumerate the points in 20 minutes. How can you talk all contemporary issues? And I thought, let me take just one issue which is bothering one and all leading companies across the globe. If there is a question answer, I'll be very happy, I have no problem, and you can ask me on other issues as well. And that I chose this topic of employee engagement. Have you all heard about employee engagement? All of you? Okay. So three things I'm doing. That in order to survive in today's chaotically changeful, global, unrestricted, deregulated environment, you have to build yourself into a high-performance work system. Whether you are a large multinational company or you are a small shop, if you think longish, if you think of survival, if you think of competitive advantage, performance should be very high in your organization. Everybody is bothered about this HPWS. So how can you do it? You have to have your people engaged. This is a new term. It wasn't in vogue when I was a student. We heard about satisfaction, motivation. Now we are talking about commitment and engagement. It is a much higher order of motivation. And I wanted to tell you that 90% of the organizations are not able to engage their people. Whether they are small lalas or they are multinational companies, everybody is bothered about it. It looks very simple. If you read it, it looks very simple. It is not rocket science, but it is most difficult. Why? Because we have egos. We have control mindset. We have a presumption about people, सब डंडे के यार हैं, कोई काम नहीं करना चाहता. And this presumption kills us. It prevents us from becoming proactive, positive, emotionally intelligent. And we become in the process reactive, control-centric, rule-centric, and in the process we are troubling our people. We are creating lots of trouble for our people. I'll give you examples of companies which have low-cost strategy and companies which have amazing performance, and cost is not a problem. And this is a huge range how organizations today are engaging their people. So this is one. In order to build high performance, you have to engage. You have to have transformational leaders. This is a new concept. We have said goodbye to the traits theory and also situational theory to some extent, and it's a product of the globalization process where we are talking of transformational leaders, change leaders who can inspire their people and who can incite the emotions of their people. In fact, if you ask me one word, what is the hallmark of transformational leadership? It is the emotions, managing the emotions of people and inspiring them. Then the question is, okay, what all do we have to do in order to engage? That's the question. So I'll be discussing some of the factors and some of the companies, what they are doing. And then often when I this kind of presentation, many times I am told that no, Dr. Saini, what you are talking is not possible in India. We have closed our minds. It's not possible. Why? यहाँ पे लोग काम नहीं करते हैं, उनको ड्राइव करना पड़ता है, and this presumption again becomes a problem. And I'll be giving you two examples of a very large company which has conquered the world now. It is the biggest contributor to the GDP of UK today, and they have conferred this award on Ratan Tata. And I'll give you a very small company, our both Indian companies, as to how they are engaging their people. If you see, you probably not even born when the life was very cozy. I think three of us, we were born in a very different era. It's an era of assurances, salaries, your LTC, everything is given, and you enjoy your life. Whether you work or you do not work, doesn't matter much. Productivity was very low. Public sector was at the pinnacle of preference of the government, and life was very cozy. We had much more demand than the supply, and there were queues for 7 years. For a telephone, I was waiting for 15 years in Pitampura, and I got disgusted after 6-7 years. Then there was a scheme of OIT, own your telephone. You have to pay 8,000 rupees, which was twice my monthly salary at that time. So I paid that. That was the era of your 15 years, 20 years. You wait for things. Vespa scooter 7 years, car 2 years. So that was, for businesses, it was a very cozy world. What happened today? The whole world started globalizing. I don't know whether how many of you are aware when this world starts globalizing. Anybody? That is India, but what about the world? We started globalizing very, very late. Anybody? 1850. 1980. Where did it start? Where did the globalization process start? Any idea? Where? Who started it? It was 1979 when Margaret Thatcher, for the first time, British economy was in shambles, and she threw open the economy to the market. And there was so much of opposition to Margaret Thatcher. I remember 1999, I was in Mexico. I met some the British people, and they were talking very bad of Margaret Thatcher because they were working in government. Nobody works. This is the situation, and now they have to work. They all have to work, and all their perquisites, you have to earn them, and you will not be entitled to them. Well, they were very critical, but she was an iron lady, and she has been also voted the best prime minister in the 20th century. She was very ruthless. She came heavily on unions, changed all the laws. Her orientation was productivity, and Margaret and Bill Clinton fell in love with all what she was doing, and he started following. So this came to be known as Thatcherism and Reaganomics. And Dr. Mittal is a specialist, and he knows Thatcherism and Reaganomics came, and then slowly, at that time, we used to have Asian tigers, and India was nowhere near. And that was in the 90s. They were following the globalized world. We had not even started globalizing. Interestingly, China also started. They didn't call it globalization, but they called it modernization. Deng Xiaoping, he said goodbye virtually to Marxism, and he started, they call it modernization, modernism, 1978. That's the reason why China is where they are today. So what happened? We were too late. We were about to become bankrupt. 1991. Our gold was sailing from Mumbai to New York to be pledged to IMF, and therefore the today world like this. What do you see in this picture? It is not entitlement, cozy thing, sitting at home, fixed salary, perquisites. Everybody has to earn one's living. There is nothing which is free. And this is called chaotic competition. And what happens when this happens? Industries run away, like the ducklings are running away from the storm. To where? To safety. Because the motherly instinct wants to protect the children first, no matter my life goes. And this is how industries are running away. When I was a first year student, 1966, I got admission in Delhi University. And early on, my teacher told me these are the 10 large groups in the country. DCM was one of the top 2-3. It does not figure anywhere today, even in top 50. Most of the Birla companies, Dalmias, Rais, Modis, where have these companies gone? They all ran away like them. Why? Can anybody tell me why they ran away? And what was the cause for their success earlier on? Everybody cannot survive today. Earlier you had made underhand, you had shaken hand with the government earlier on, licensing was there. For every little thing you need licenses. 1991 it was virtually abolished, and you are thrown into the pool. If you don't know swimming, no matter you die, I will not shed tears, said the government. Okay, anyway, so this is the reason why they all ran away. They did not know, they did not have the competencies to do business. Okay, and new players came. So many new players, all these are new players and who are dominating the market today. And today what is happening, you survive if you are able to manage your people in this storm. Can you? That's a very difficult task. People management looks very simple. It's just dadima. Management all is very simple, very, very simple, most difficult to practice. Why? Our mind is on control. Like a Haryana village, I'm sorry, I'm not a casteist, but you know, when the marriage takes place, उसको जरा संभाल के रखियो, सिर पे मत चढ़ा लियो, तुझे पटक देगी, तुझे बर्बाद कर देगी. We have this control mentality, okay? And this is the reason why you are not able to engage. Because this is a difficult condition. Expectations have changed. You're all youngsters, you know. Your aspirations are very, very different. You are highly demanding, okay? And you will go away if your company cannot retain you. And therefore, management today has to have the capability to lead you in this kind of environment. क्या हो गया भैया, देखना इसमें या यहां से होगा? ठीक है. So what do you need to do? As I said, you need to be a high performance work system. Do you know the profits in this kind of companies? Customized products, maybe 200-300%. It is something like in Giffen goods you have the upward rising demand curve sometimes. This is because there are no competitors. Now you have Audi and BMW, but still their profit margins are very high. And then if you are not a high performing work system, then you go away. Customer focused behavior of all employees. If your bell is ringing and nobody is picking up, that is what happens in government. You try 10 times and nobody is picking up, then you are not customer centric. So companies say, okay, my phone should not ring beyond the 4th ring. If it rings beyond the 4th ring, we have failed in our customer centricity. So what the companies today are trying is that what is your behavior? And the whole focus of people management, HR management, on producing behavior which is in sync with the business strategy. Your business strategy warrants certain kind of behavior, empathetic behavior, for example, or a behavior of passion, for example, or a behavior of speed, for example, or a behavior of freedom, for example, so that you innovate. In that case, you have to produce those behaviors which eventually contributes to the high performance work system. So one and all, if you are short-termist is fine, no problem, but if you are thinking of survival, if you do not want to join this club of these companies which I named before you, if you do not want to join, then it's okay, but if you want to be a high performer, then you have to have all your systems, processes, policies, programs into high performance work system. Now the question is, what is high performance work system? You must have heard Dalmia Cement. It's a profit making company. It's not a loss making company. And its 1 rupee share is selling for 65 paise. Not even the book value, it's an old company. Dabur, same capitalization as Dalmia Cement. Its 1 rupee share is selling for 65 rupees. It is also a profit making company. Both are profit-making companies, but such big is the difference in share prices. Why is it so? Finance guys? In what form is that goodwill? Wonderful. And there is a new name given to this by Professor Baruch Leib of New York University. And he did a lot of research on this, what determines share prices. And what Upasana is mentioning as brand value is one of the things, he calls it the theory of intangibles in finance. That you create intangibles and the organization creates variegated intangibles, which includes even leadership, your management style, your R&D, your patents, your trademarks, and what is your future, what is the viability of your organization, where are you going? And that is the perception of the stakeholders. And they perceive that you have a future, and people do not perceive a future for this Dalmia Cement. Even though you are a profit-making company, people think you have no ideas, you don't know how to do business, and so on and so forth. So, it is not just important that you have extraordinary results today. It is important that do you have the capability to survive in the chaotically changeful business environment. Like we are having the downturn. There is one company, HCL, you must have heard about. Do you know the CEO of HCL? No, Vineet Kapoor. Shiv Nadar is the owner. Vineet Kapoor. And we were together in San Diego 2010, and we were invited, and when he spoke, there were 5,000 Americans listening to him. There was a big hall, and he created a wow. And later on what he spoke was written in the form, came in the form of a book, and that was Employee First, Customer Second. And the book is now Indian price also, it sells. And I have a video of Vineet Nair, 10 minutes video, which I don't plan, I don't have probably time for this. What he says is that during this downturn, our employees' satisfaction rose 42%. Our profitability rose 22%, 20%. Can it happen during downturn? Everybody is in crisis. This is true feature of a high-performing organization. How do you build it is the question. And I will try to relate it with engagement. But how do we do our people management actually? You see these two guys are smiling. Do you see that? And what do you see on these two guys' faces? Anxiety. Maut khadi hai samne, isn't it? And they are still smiling. Why? What do they say? I'm glad the hole isn't in our end. What comes to your mind when you see this kind of a situation? And who are they? They are called the line managers who do all the donkey's job, including the production people, sales people, marketing people, who bring cash to you. And they are the HR and admin. There must be some HR guys here. This is the problem with this HR. This is in economics, it's called rent seeking. You think you have power, kaise jaoge bahar? Main dekhunga, isn't it? And you become negative. Administration becomes negative. And not only that, you think that you will survive if the boat sinks. So probably this also means that some of the HR people are not even, they are insane, okay? That's why this P&A, personnel and administration, do you know what people say? What does it stand for? Panga and Adanga, P&A. Panga लेंगे सारे HR के लोग. You ask public sector, private sector, people are very unhappy with this HR and admin because they are rule enforcers and they have no empathy with people. They are not prepared to change the rules. Oh, this is the rule. Rule will stay. Whatever damages it does, rule will stay. This is the problem. And this is how another one, I've been saying for years that employees are our most valuable assets. It turned out that no, I was wrong. They are 8th, 9th. And they found, no, they employ, you have a list of priorities. What is the most valuable? Earlier you say employees, then your machines, your building, then your brand or whatever. And then you say, no, they are ninth. And what is eighth? Just see. Eighth is carbon paper and ninth is employees. Or what comes to your mind when you read this? That you treat your employees worse than a carbon paper. This is the actuality in these 90% organizations. And CEOs and leaders do not see to it that they make this HR centric to the behavior warranted by the business strategy. But in the today's environment, since you have to engage, you have to rethink the whole thing. And there are organizations, you will not even believe the kind of interventions which they are using to enthuse their people. And in the process, they have conquered the world. And not very many people understand this. In fact, everybody does not have even power, because it all depends upon the top management. What is the thinking of your top? All HR people management philosophy starts from the top. If top does not foresee, if the top is not proactive, it is not people centric, then engagement cannot take place. Then you just run as just another company. So what enlightened CEOs want today from their HR? They want engaged people. They want happy people. They want the kind of organization which Vineet Nair has been able to create. Vineet Nair was getting 4.5 crore rupees when his book came, and he became still more popular. Overnight, his package is now 8.5 crore annual compensation, which he is one of the highest paid, one of the top CEOs. And you can imagine how, by believing in your people, by believing in people centricity, you can change the fate of an organization. It is not very simple at all. It's very, very difficult. But it is not impossible, because there are a number of companies which are doing it. Okay, so you want that people should be excited. People, when they get up in the morning, man kare ki jaldi se workplace pe chale, kyunki there's some people say, somebody is waiting for you. You are going to a temple to worship. To work is worship. Can you create? That should be a challenge for every CEO. That everybody thinks that let me go to my workplace because I live my life, I enjoy my life, okay, and work is worship. I think those people are blessed who are able to enjoy their work. And most people are not able to enjoy their work because of bosses. The bosses are not leaders, and bosses have command and control instincts. They cannot trust their people. And my wife has this, I have this problem, serious problem with my wife. She is very control centric, and I am otherwise. And whenever somebody cheats me, she tells me, stupid, I told you that don't trust people unnecessarily. And this is what they have done. And what do you think should I say? Should I change myself from trust to command and control? I say that the benefit which I have got by trusting people is several times more than what I have given through these cheats. And for the cheats also, I have taken a challenge. My driver is with me. I was asking him this morning. He said, Babuji, mujhe 10 saal ho gaye. He left. Once he left about 4 years ago, somebody paid him 25% more money. Somebody in my lane only, and my padosi told me कि आपके driver को वो उसका किराएदार भगा के ले गया. I happened to call him after 2 months, just like that one day, because I had no grudge. It's okay if you get a better job, that's fine, but you should have told me. He was crying on the phone when I called him. Babuji, मेरे से गलती होगी. He was crying viciously. And what did he say? मेरा मन नहीं लग रहा. नई जगह मेरा मन नहीं लग रहा. Money is not a motivator. If you see Herzberg's theory, Herzberg says it is money does not. It's a hygiene factor. It doesn't motivate. What is the motivation for Ramu Kaka in Indian films? He comes as a child, grows with the family, lays down his life for the family, he dies for the family, he joins the celebrations of the family, but he is highly engaged. It is not the salary which engages him. He is lowly paid. You must have seen that film, Hum Aapke Hain Kaun? That Lallu guy, you know, the way he plays cricket and how he enjoys, and when he comes to know that the older Bahu is died and how viciously he cries. That is engagement. He is lowly paid. So what is the moral of the story? It's a question, how do you engage your people? All my people who are working with, 4 or 5 people who work with me, somebody is for 25 years, 15 years, most of them, okay? Once my wife dismissed one of them, and she sat on a dharna. Otherwise, she is a very nice lady. मैं देखती हूँ कौन आएगा यहाँ, इस घर को नहीं छोड़ूंगी. Can you? This is called employer of choice. This is called employer brand, and this reflects a very high degree of employee engagement. So this is what CEOs want from you. Can you build a brand, employer brand, and which will lead to the product brand and firm brand, and which will enable you to build a high performance work system and compete in this global market today. Now the question is, what is this engagement? Is this satisfaction? Is it motivation? Or is it something else? You believe in the vision of the organization and you make efforts for the realization of that vision. You have belief that whatever is the vision. I'll show you a video where Tata Steel involves its lowest rung employees in the visioning process, and see how Tata Steel earned in 5 years 1500 crore rupees by a suggestion scheme where 50% of those who gave suggestions were workers. We normally say, ye workers hain, ye kaam chor hain, ye kaam nahi karte hain, isn't it? We don't know how to give love to people, and that is what Tata Steel has done. The lowest steel producing company in the world acquired the pride of UK, that company Chorus, the biggest, finest steel they are producing, and that Land Rover and the other brand which they are producing, and then biggest contributor to the economy of UK. And what is it underneath? Their values, their beliefs, and this, all what came to be law later on was started by them. The Employee Welfare, Works Committee, which all came, Industrial Disputes Act much later, they started it. And they have dignity to their people. I was invited by Tata Steel in 2006 to talk to all their HR. And I started, I thought, let me write a case on Tata Steel. So I stayed there for 3 years, they permitted me. I was talking to a lady, she was from IIM Calcutta.